Hi guys, it's me Ashley and welcome to another episode of The Productive Mom. In today's video, I'm going to give you some tips for a new mom. So if you're interested, keep on watching.
One look and I breathe.
Alright, so let's get right on into it, baby. So my the options that I'm going to give you start kind of when finding out you're pregnant all the way down to actually having the baby. So if you don't know, I'm Ashley. I have one daughter, KK. We just celebrated her 1-year birthday, and she's my first and probably my only child. Okay. And honestly, I find motherhood to be extremely rewarding. However, keep in mind, I'm 37. So 37 years of, or 36 years, because I was 36 when I had my daughter, 36 years of just living life, having fun, doing whatever I wanted. And I really never had any intentions on having a child. If you're interested in how I became a mom, a single mom, I'll link that video up here. But so then when I find out I'm pregnant, it was like I didn't know anything. Okay? Just as lost in the sauce. And so some of the struggles I had, I hope to prevent you from. So let's get started. Maternity leave versus short-term disability. It ain't a guarantee. Number one, please look into your maternity leave. Do you have maternity leave? What will it cover? Okay? So because I had no intentions on having a child, never signed up for short-term disability. So keep in mind, I'm an educator. There is no maternity leave where I work in Texas. There was none in where I worked in Mississippi as well. That was not a given. I thought maternity leave is an obvious, like everyone gets it, especially, in a professional job. But no, there's no maternity leave in my district or none of the districts I've ever worked in. So if that's the case for you, first of all, look into that. See if there is maternity leave. Second, if there is not, see if you can get short-term disability. The problem with that is if you've already found out you're pregnant, sometimes it will not cover pre-existing things. It also sometimes will only cover it will only take effect in 3 months or 6 months or however, from the date you sign up. So you need to look into that. If at all possible, if you're like me and you found out you were pregnant on the toilet, okay, before you go to the doctor and make it official, meaning it's officially in your medical record, you might want to go ahead and see if you can sign up for short-term disability before it becomes medically obvious that you are pregnant. But look into your short-term disability. In addition to that, look at how much short-term disability will cover if you can't get maternity leave. So where I worked, short-term disability, the highest you could get was up to, I believe, 30% of your salary. So imagine if we'll just say you make $3,000 a month. Well, it's only going to cover $1,000. And it's another misconception people have is that, okay, well, it'll cover my entire salary. That might be the case for some people. It might not be the case for you. And don't take anything for granted. I did that a lot when becoming pregnant. Okay, this will cover. Okay, I got insurance. I got this. No, baby. You better go look because, like I said, my short-term disability only covered if I had it, and I didn't. $1,000 of my salary. And the problem was by the time I attempted to get it in January when I found out I was pregnant, open enrollment had closed for my district and it would not reopen until July, which I could sign up for in July, but it would not take effect until September 1, and they also would not cover any pre-existing conditions. So I was already very pregnant at that point. So it was no point of me signing up at that point. So if you are hoping to become a mom or you're actively working on that, make sure you sign up for short-term disability as much as you can afford. If you have maternity leave, then great, good. You should look into how much maternity leave is going to cover, because some maternity leaves cover your full salary, some cover a portion. So this is Editing Ashley here, realizing I didn't really explain what hospital indemnity is. So hospital indemnity is basically when you go in the hospital, if you stay for a certain amount of time, they will pay you usually a large sum of money. If you go in the hospital, it's usually something like $1,200 to $1,500. Some will pay per day, some will pay per time you go, meaning if you go for 3 days, that's considered one time, so you get a one-time fee. Some will pay for a certain amount of days you're in there, so you get that fee each day you're in there. So, and then some will just pay for if you have to go for a specific thing, an x-ray, an MRI, things like that. So look into it and see if you signed up, and if you didn't, you might want to look into it and see if it's worth signing up. In addition to your maternity leave, you should look into, do you have hospital indemnity? I had hospital indemnity. Here's the thing. I signed up for it maybe 2 months before I had my child. What I did not know, even though it said it on there, but again, I was taking a lot of things for granted. It took effect on September 14th. I went in the hospital on September 13th at 10 p.m. Because I went in the hospital 2 hours before it took effect, they would not pay out. So, take a look at what you have and when it goes into effect, and make sure you operate in those parameters. In addition to that, look into your insurance. How much is your deductible? What will your insurance cover in terms of visits? If you are a new mom, you will start out going to the doctor once a month and then progressively move towards going to the doctor every week. Are you going to have to pay a copay every single time? If you're well-to-do and you're doing fine, that might not be a problem for you. But at the time, my copay was $40. So every time you're going to the doctor, are you going to have to pay $40, $50, $70? Shout out to where I went to have my baby, my OBGYN. I didn't have to do that, but they were so nice. They told me up front, this is how much it's going to cost initially to have this baby, and they broke it down into 4 payments. So the next 4 visits, I had to pay these large balloon $295 payments for 4 months straight. However, I appreciated knowing that up front. So look into your insurance. How much is it going to cost to add your baby if you are going to be the one who's going to medically insure them? For most places, it's significant. As a teacher, it was an extra $391 a month to add my daughter to my insurance. So look into that. Look into what will they cover in terms of you having that baby. Doctor visits after you have the baby. You need to know all the things. Take nothing for granted. When you go into the doctor's office or when you talk to them on the phone, have them run your information and tell you up front what you will be responsible for paying, what percentages, all the things. Again, didn't know any of that. Paid a lot of money out of pocket. Specifically, I was sent to a genetic specialist that was outside my network. So I had to pay about $150 extra than I would have paid. If she had been in my network, I would have only paid the copay of $70. But because she was not in my network, I had to pay another $150 out of my pocket. So things like that. Your doctor may recommend somebody. You need to call them back and say, they are not in my network. Can you recommend somebody that's in the, Blue Cross Blue Shield or Humana One or whomever you're kicking it with, okay? But Ashley, what about my paycheck? All right. Now that we are off, where the money gonna come from. And with that being said, you need to make plans for the fact that in all likelihood, you will be off work for between 6 weeks and 12 weeks if you have complications. I did not have any complications, so they told me I could go back to work in 2 weeks, baby. I did not. However, I was able to say, when did I want to come back to work? And I wanted to come back to work in 8 weeks. And so my doctor wrote that on my excuse. And I told that to my school, which we have FMLA, which every job I assume does. And so they honored that. However, there was no pay coming in. So if you are at the beginning of your pregnancy, middle of your pregnancy, end of your pregnancy, you need to be determined. You need to be figuring out how are you going to cover bills for up to 12 weeks. Do not think, okay, 6 weeks. You never know what might happen. So you need to make plans for what you're going to do. What I did was I began to scale back things I was doing. And I started putting, I believe, $1,500 up a month in preparation of my maternity leave so that bills were paid. And I still ended up, struggling a little bit towards the end of my maternity leave. Because what I didn't know, and if you're in education, this might be the case, because I was off for 2 months and the way the days fell in between the pay periods, it ended up being 3 months before I got a check instead of just 2. So, make sure you plan accordingly. Know your pay periods and the dates that go so that you know when your next check will be coming. And as I said, plan for up to 12 weeks unless you are, doing something different. All right, so let's get into some things that I think you should buy. Now, first and foremost, I'm going to put your registry needs over here. Things that I absolutely think you need it to live your life a little more easily. I'm also going to link those below, so check the description for the cost-efficient options. But first and foremost, I would say you need a baby alarm. Okay, so that's the little part that you plug into your car, and it just kind of knows that you are ready to roll. When you see the little green kid, that means that you're buckled in, they're buckled in, and everything's good to go. So watch what happens when I unbuckle my seatbelt. You see, you hear that sound? And that doesn't even stop if you take it out. It's still gonna be going. Even if you turn the car off, still going. See? Like, as soon as you open the door, it's letting you know, hey, don't forget that baby. And by baby alarm, I mean an alarm that's in your car. So, if you saw my video, Things I Love, I'll link it up here somewhere and in the description. But, again, I was coming off 36 years of singlehood, not really having to worry about anybody. And I was deathly afraid that I would one day just get in my car and just drive to work and get out and go to work, and my daughter would be in the car for 8 hours. And I live in Texas. It got up to 120 degrees this summer, so I didn't want to do that. And to be honest, I've never actually forgotten her, so that's great. But if you are worried about that, and even if you're not, especially if you're a new mom, I highly recommend this, because you are coming off a life of not having to worry about anyone. And now all of a sudden there's somebody in the back seat who may be asleep and you forget all about them. Just as a precaution, I think every woman should get it, even if they're not a new mom. They can have 14 kids. I just think you can never go wrong with safety. All right, so get a car seat alarm. All right, the next thing is to get a baby monitor camera. it was on all the time and I could access it anywhere I was in the world. For example, I went home for the summer and it dinged while I was at home. What happened is my apartment complex had come in to fix something and it dinged, let me know that they were in there, and I could see the video of them in there working on whatever it was. So it's very good for just monitoring your baby. And if you're a new mom, you're going to be nervous putting them in the crib and not being in there. So I don't think I need to spend a whole lot of time. You obviously know what a baby monitor is. In this case, it's a camera, and you can hear and you can see them. And then this particular one, you can actually talk through it and you can hear them. So it's really good, and it was very cost efficient. I'll put the link in the description below. All right. Get a diaper station. What do I mean by this? I mean, in every room of your house that you will occupy with that child, that you will, sit down and get comfy and you don't necessarily feel like getting up, you should put a diaper station. Now, I have a cute one, and then I have just a basic one in areas that don't really need all that. And I'll show you both. So what is normally in your diaper station would be diapers, obviously, wipes, and then, diapers, wipes, diaper cream if your baby's, having some issues there, as well as if you're breastfeeding, you would have your breast pump and all of those materials there. And then if you are formula feeding, as I was, then I had the pre-made milk. Like, I bought both pre-made milk and milk that you had to mix up. And I would keep the pre-made milk at my diaper station so I could just boop and go on about my life. And the purpose for that is a lot of times at nighttime, I didn't feel like mixing up any milk. And so I just would wake up, pop some in there, and boop, and, go back to sleep. Obviously you breastfed people, you could just shh, but I couldn't breastfeed, so, we gotta make it do what it do. And again, this doesn't have to be this beautiful one I created. You can make, or you could probably get these on Etsy. It could be as simple as this one here, where I just bought a Dollar Tree organizer for $1.25 and put some diapers, some wipes, some diaper cream. And again, I didn't breastfeed. And so that was all. And you can just sit that on the side table in your bedroom. So when you wake up, you can do whatever you need to do. Alrighty, so we're about to get ready to have this baby. You want to practice with the car seat, okay? Because I was super duper lost. Like, what I do with this? I didn't know how to put it in. I didn't know how to buckle it in. I didn't know any of the things that you needed to know. And I don't know why it didn't occur to me. But as you get closer to your due date, practice putting your car seat in the car. How do you need to buckle it in? What is the way you're supposed to buckle it in? Because I've seen people finagle and do all kinds of craziness, and that could lead to, if you have a car accident, fatalities, and no one wants to do that. Most car seats come with a base, and if you get the base in, then you can just pop the car seat in, and I recommend you buy one similar to that, because that's what I have, and it made life a lot easier. But even with that, you need to figure out how to put the base in, because occasionally you're gonna have to move that car seat from your car to mom, grandma, granddad, whatever. So you need to understand how the car seat works. In addition to that, you need to go ahead. Once you figure out how it works, go ahead and put it in the car that you will probably be coming home in. So if you don't know, once you have your baby and they release you to go home, you have to bring the car seat into the hospital when you leave. You cannot just take the baby out in your arms. So what I recommend is if yours comes with a base, and I think they all do at this point, put the base in the car that you're going to ride home in. Go ahead and do that now. Especially if you're in the 9 months range. Go ahead and put it in there now. And then whoever comes to get you can bring in the car seat itself. And so once they bring that car seat in, you'll have to hold the baby, and they'll have to hold the car seat, and they'll wheel you out, and then you put the baby in the car seat and go on home. Here's a tip that my best friend told me, who does not have any children, but she was spot on here. A lot of times the police officers or firefighters in your area will secure your car seat for you. And they secure it the legal way and the way that is best to preserve your baby's life. And a lot of people think, okay, I know how to put it in, but they know how to put it in, like I said, in a way to preserve your baby's life. So if I were you, especially you new moms, but even older mothers who have multiple children, call the firefighters in your area or call the police in your area and have them secure your baby's car seat. I did that, and I did it after my daughter was born, but I knew that her stuff was kind of loose. I didn't like it. And so when I went to them, they secured it down to the point where it barely moved. And if you look at the videos online, the base or the car seat is only supposed to move about an inch either way. And mine was just flopping. So they showed me how to do it properly, and then they did it. And to be honest, I've never taken the base out since they did it. I lift it up just slightly, as much as I can get under it, and wipe it down and clean it. And I take the car seat out periodically and clean it. But the base, which is what they secure, I've never taken it out because I'm afraid I can't get it back in there. And it took me a minute to get that appointment. So, and that's another thing. If you do that, do it early enough, because sometimes they're very busy. And, you know, shout out to our police officers, our police officers and firefighters. We love them. They got a lot going on, so you want to secure that, get it done, and secure it early. All right, another thing is when you go to that first appointment, baby is born. Your baby is here. Woo! Hallelujah. All right, 1 or 2 days after that, after baby is born, they want you to bring the baby. Most of the time, they want you to bring the baby in for an appointment. Please, please, please bring the stroller. Okay? Bring the stroller. For whatever reason, I didn't do this. Okay? So I took the baby out the car seat and walked into the hospital with her, which is fine. You can do that. But after you have a baby, depending on when this appointment is, mine was like 2 days later. They wanted to check. She had jaundice at birth, and they wanted to check to see, you know, that her numbers were down, which they were. Shout out to the Lord. But you are a little weak. You know, the pelvic muscles are recovering. You know, the genitalia is recovering. And so holding a baby and walking through a very large hospital, because I live in the city, it was very tiresome, okay? And it don't help that I'm a plus size girl, so I'm sure that didn't help at all. But it's better to put he or she in a stroller and just roll her through. Plus, you can hold all your things. If you got a good stroller, it has a base where you can put their diaper bag, and you need to bring said diaper bag. And so it just made life very complicated. That first appointment I brought her, and I'm holding the diaper bag. And this was, like I said, my core was recovering. And by the end of the appointment, I was exhausted. And the hospital I went to was not that big, but I was very exhausted. Okay? So bring that stroller to the first appointment. With that being said, learn how to use the stroller. Learn how to use the stroller, because I did not know how to use the stroller. So I come for a second appointment, a second follow-up to the jaundice appointment. So it's like 2 days later. So at this point, I'm 4 days postpartum. So I bring the stroller, and I could not open her up because I didn't understand her. Okay? And so I'm out here. My baby, it's September. It's hot. Okay? And I am attempting to get the stroller open. My baby's in the car and she's starting to fuss because it's getting hot. And she ain't never liked the heat. And I spent 20 minutes trying to get the stroller out. When a lovely, sweet nurse walked by and was like, "Do you need help?" And I was like, "Yes, I do." Slightly emotional here. And she got it open very quickly. Apparently, most of them open the same way. I don't know. So I would say practice with the stroller before you have the baby. So you know how to pop her out. And most of them kind of pop out very easily, but I was lost in the sauce. And my car seat fit over into my stroller, which was, shout out to my best friend for buying this, made life a lot easier, but I didn't know how to get the car seat into that. So not only did I not know how to open the stroller, I did not know how to then get the car seat into it. So it was just like fun times. Okay. So don't do that. Made me late for that second appointment. And, you don't want to do that because, again, we love our doctors and nurses and we respect their time over here. All right. Last but not least is to keep certain things in your car. So once you have a baby, now, again, I told you 36 years of babylessness. And, my car maintained a certain level of cleanliness. And then when you have a baby, it's like no more. Okay. You need to keep certain things in your car. Okay. I recommend some wipes, baby wipes, some diapers. If you can keep formula in there, you'll have to keep the formula that is, well, you can keep formula in there, but if it's hot outside, that you won't be able to do that because the formula has to be sort of room temperature. It can be sort of cold, but it can't be 120 degrees. That milk gonna go bad, baby, and it's gonna stay. And then some car cleaning wipes. So, because they gonna spit up, they gonna get milk, they gonna waste whatever you give them somewhere. In addition to that, a little small vacuum. Now I have one of those like bootleg Dyson vacuums in my house, so I just use that to clean with, but I will link in the description some old vacuums that I used to have to clean up messes. So yeah, keep certain things in your car because baby, he or she is gonna make a mess, and so are you. Thanks for watching another episode of The Productive Mom. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video with any new moms or moms that you think this will help. Bye.